YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today, going through every single NFL team, division by division, giving you each team's win range for the 2020 season. So, kind of the worst case and the best case. Really, you can do a wide range for each team, but I tried to get a little bold, maybe tighten them up a little bit. Some of them aren't too bold, but try to tighten those up. I think the cheap route would be to go have a wide range. I didn't really want to do that for every team here. Some teams actually do have a pretty wide range, pretty much a mystery on what these teams, how they'll finish in many different outcomes. But we're going to go through every team here in just a second. Please subscribe. Full NFL coverage in season. Cannot wait. 1 week away, just a little over a 1 week away here. So really excited about that. Follow that Twitter. We'll be live tweeting basically during every single game, constantly updating you on the channel and the NFL. It's a must follow. Follow that Instagram, more active on that during the season. We have a podcast and extra bonus content, including possibly joining our fantasy league on that Patreon. Link in the description in the comments for anything that you may need there that you see on the screen. So check down below, be much appreciated. But starting with the AFC East, so the bottom line, the lows for each team. I put the Patriots, at 6. I don't see them finishing the season with less than 6 wins. In terms of their roster really doesn't look, it looks like it could be worse than, to some people, worse than 6 wins. You may think it's possible based on the roster because the whole linebacker unit's a mess. They don't have too great of a pass rush. It's really the secondary that's carrying the defense. A first-year quarterback in the system. Little beat up at the running back position. Some guys are starting to get healthy. Receiver/tight end group, kind of a mystery. The offensive line took a step down last year. Could continue to do that. So they do have talent, though. Cam Newton, if healthy, we know he can play. With that coaching staff, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels there, definitely have full trust in the coaching staff. I think the defense will play better than what it shows on paper because the coaching and because the secondary could help it out there. Some young guys can step up. They're going to need to, they're banking on some rookies quite a bit, both sides of the ball. But, looking at the pass rush, guys like Uche, may need to do, a lot of pressure on him for just a rookie. But when a guy like Winovich, second-year guy from Michigan, the Michigan guys back together there, maybe he can step up this year. But, bottom line, I put him at 6. Roster kind of all over the place. The Bills, I put bottom line at 8. They should be a good team. It's a pretty complete team, one of the better defenses in football. Offense, we don't really fully know what to expect, so that's what creates somewhat of a range there, a little wider range, because the offense, you don't know what to expect. I believe in Josh Allen, how much we need to see him improve. He's improved this far, but you need to see a young guy like that to keep improving because teams start to figure you out, if you're a young quarterback. So he needs to keep stepping up. That's Stephon Diggs, pretty good running back duo. Offensive line was improved from 2 years ago to last year. I'd say 8's the bottom line there. Really depends on the offense because it could get inconsistent. See, early last year, they were turning the ball over, relying on the defense a little too much. Then as the season went on, kind of the middle of the season, they were just too much of a game-managing offense. Not really putting points up on the board, more just running the clock at times. Still too much on the defense, and they started to figure it out after that. So we'll see where they're at to start this year. Dolphins, lows at 3. I think they got better than last year for sure, but that doesn't necessarily the record's going to be better. And again, these aren't record predictions or division placement predictions at all, just win range. But the Dolphins actually could have a worse record this year while being better. Some people don't understand that, but it's a different year. It's all about schedule, what happens on any given Sunday, any game. So they have a very tough schedule, surprisingly enough. You would think they would have an easier schedule than that, but they don't. So bottom line, I put them at 3, even though they got better. The Jets, I put them all the way down at 2. Lost a lot, obviously. Jamal Adams, CJ Mosley. There's just, I don't know if there's enough on this team. There's some studs, guys like Quinn Williams could step up. They could, the second, looking at the safety group, even without Jamal Adams, could still be pretty solid. Offensively, can Sam Darnold step up? You expect him to. It's nothing guaranteed. You guys know me. I'm not a huge believer in Adam Gase. There's a lot of room for improvement here. So they could be down at around 2 wins. Again, not necessarily what I'm predicting. It's just what I can see being the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, put the Patriots up at 10. The roster doesn't really say 10 or anything more. But again, the coaching, and they do have some studs on their team and some experience. So that kind of boosted up to 10. I couldn't really put it higher than that. Somewhat of an easy division, not really an easy schedule. I'd say the divisional schedule, maybe somewhat. I mean, the Bills tough twice, but the Bills at 13, very possible they can win 6 games here. Patriots, Dolphins, Jets twice each, just in the division. So going 6-0 is basically what I'm saying. So, and you're about halfway there to what I got them, close enough. But again, a top-tier defense. This defense can play like the best defense in football. If Josh Allen takes that next step, it's going to be a scary offense as well. There's no way it's going to be like the best in football or anything like that. But they really can get hot, really can get going, could be a complete team. So I put them around 13 maximum. And the Dolphins and Jets I have around the same range. I really don't see them getting over that 7 spot. The Dolphins a little harder schedule, but they could get going. Young talent, a little different looks than what for the Dolphins and what teams are expecting. But it depends on who's at quarterback. I think Fitzpatrick starts the year. They'll probably switch to 2 at one point. Thinking that's really not a good sign, too much of a good sign. But yeah, I put max around 7 for those teams. Moving on to the low part of the AFC North. Steelers I put down at 7. It's a tricky one because where's Big Ben at? Can he be the same? Will he be consistent? Can he get hurt again? No one's really come back from an injury like that, a surgery like that. So last year they pretty much missed Big Ben the entire season. They still just missed out on the playoffs. So you could say they could do that again. They could. Their defense could carry them again. It is a new year. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, close enough here if the worst case scenario happens. Big Ben, I expect to be healthy. He's healthy right now. I expect to be healthy. Will he be the same? I think glimpses. We'll see. Yes, there's weeks where he will be, weeks where he won't. So even with, I don't think so, but even with Big Ben, it's possibility. This is all about possibilities here that the defense could have to carry again. So I put the bottom line at 7. Health is a major concern with the Steelers, or a major, I guess, deciding factor. Ravens I'll put at 10, bottom line, so that's pretty good there. The talk of, and it's realistic, that teams can start to figure out Lamar Jackson offense, make him throw, and that will limit them. It will be different than last year, and I think he can throw, and I think he can beat teams throwing. That could just only open up that, but it's easier said than done stopping the running game, not with just Lamar Jackson, the rest of the offense as well. I just don't see them under 10. I think they're just too good of a team. Defense is good, mainly in the secondary, but they add pass rush to that actual defensive line. Don Martindale, really good defensive coach, and this is really only the second year with this Lamar Jackson offense. It really wasn't it the year before, even though they made the playoffs, went on a run with Lamar Jackson. It wasn't nowhere near the same offense. So I expect the Ravens to keep rolling. Bengals I put down at 3. He's very young. Joe Burrow, a little bit different situation. Had the best talent around him, mainly talking about offensive line compared from LSU compared to the Bengals. So the offensive line's kind of a question. Defense, I think they're building it the right way. It's still on its way. There could be some struggling points. So pretty tough division. So down at 3. The Browns could be down at 5. I'm worried about the Browns defense a little bit. Some injuries there. It just feels like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, maybe Sheldon Richardson have to carry this defense. There might not be enough, some unfortunate injuries on that defense. Offense could get going. First-year coach again. Browns fans probably know how that works. A lot of expectations. Probably don't set them too high this year based on what happened last year. But I think Stefanski, the system he brings, is probably the right fit for what they have. Only thing concerns me a little bit is not focusing on their receiver weapons, because he tended to do that down the stretch for the Vikings. So that's the only thing I worry about offensively, besides the obvious that how will it click first year, new coach. So that's it could be a worry too. So they could, mainly because their defense be down at 5. In the highs, I put the Steelers at 12, so the Steelers got a 7 to 12 range there. If everyone stays healthy, it's a very good team. I don't know if I see them get 12 is really good. I don't know if I see them getting ahead of that, past that. Again, for all these teams, we can do a crazy range. That's probably realistic. I try to tighten them up. I try to make this a little challenging, But the Steelers, again, back to Big Ben. If he's healthy all year, you can't really expect the best Big Ben every single week coming off that injury last year, that surgery. So I'll put 12, which is possibility, and it's good. Ravens I put at 14. Could they go 16-0? Maybe. I'm not taking the easy route there. I'm saying around 14 is the max. and they'll probably finish around there, honestly. So, again, this is kind of going back to this. It really isn't my final predictions because you don't know which side of the range I'm leaning towards for my actual prediction. We'll get to the final season predictions here before the season kicks off. Bengals I put all the way up at 9, actually, for highest possibility. I think still too young to get in that double-digit range. Still, the offensive line could be better than last year, but we know it's not going to magically be great or anything. But they have the weapons. They have Joe Burrow, maybe the best quarterback prospect we've ever seen, and he could just keep on going to what he was just playing. I think he fits the Zach Taylor system here. So the Bengals could get going. Maybe a little surprising. The Browns, I put at 9 too. It's tough to put over 9 right now because of the defense. I'm really worried about this defense. You know, the offense, it's not an offense that can just it's going to be a pretty good offense, but it's not an offense to carry this defense. It can at times, and it will at times, but every single week. So I am worried about the health and really, I guess, the impact players in this defense. They got a huge one in Myles Garrett, but I just don't know if I see them giving over that point, especially with the first-year coach. So I put it at 9 max, and then we move on to the AFC South. Interesting division here. You see each division's pretty different. The Texans I put low at 7. I think a tougher schedule and, pretty tough division. I think go either way here. So I was thinking that 7-8 range for the Texans. Health's a major thing there for J.J. Watt, I suppose, because it really changes things defensively, and the defense is that much better with him. But I think the offense could be sneaky good. People think kind of step down because no DeAndre Hopkins, maybe a longer list of receivers, and I think the offensive line can improve. So I think the bottom line is 7. The Colts, I put bottom line 6, first-year quarterback. Where's Phillip Rivers at? Pretty disastrous season last year. Now he has a better offensive line, though, but does he have better weapons, receiver-wise, tight end-wise, all that combined? So kind of question marks back and forth. What Phillip Rivers are we going to get? Is there going to be first-year woes? What's going to happen here? The defense, there's some studs on that defense. They had Buckner. They got their bright spots, but then they got their really weak spots. To me, this Colts defense looks like there's going to be weeks where it looks like easily a top 10 defense because those studs they got, and there's weeks where it's going to look like a bottom 10 defense. So there's Colts got a pretty wide range. Titans I put down at 7. People bring up, will Tannehill be the same? I think he'll be around the same. My question is, will he be healthy? The past was full of some injuries there. I'm not going to sit here and, you could say Tannehill gets hurt early in the year. It happens sometimes, and then it's probably less than 7. I'm not really going to make that big of a range here. Most likely the Tannehill's healthy most of the season, but if he does miss some games, maybe around down to 7. I do think there's a very complete team. There's some really good talent on this team. The Jags, I put down at 1. Somebody's got to kind of be down there. There's just a lot of holes in this team. I'm still not sold on Minshew. I think I'm not so. I think Jags fans like him, and there's a reason to like him, but I definitely need to see more. There's a lot of small ball last year. I think teams can be prepared this year. Offensive line, don't really know what you're going to get. I think an inconsistent offensive line. Receiver unit's solid. Running back unit took a hit. No Leonard Fournette anymore. And then you look at the defense, there's bright spots. The pass rush could be solid. You can't expect too much from a guy like Chase on this year. Linebacker unit, they had Schobert, pretty solid, and the secondary is going to be pretty weak. Really in the rebuild process, so it's possible that a team like the Jaguars could finish with about 1 win, but that's the bottom line there. The highs, and you see teams right around the same range here. I put the Texans around 12. I put the Colts around 12 as well. Colts got a pretty big range there. What are we going to expect? Because Rivers has got a big range. The defense got a pretty big range. The Titans put up at 13. Again, I think that's a very complete team, and they really got rolling at the end of last year, and they can continue that. They finally got an offensive coordinator kind of locked in there. They kind of been playing musical coordinators for some time. I think that kind of hurt them. Got Arthur Smith kind of locked in there now, and he was looking really good in terms of the play calling, the playbook, and as well. So I think they're gonna keep on going on there as long as they're healthy. The Jaguars, I don't really see them getting over 6 wins really. Really depends on Minshew. He could be solid, better than maybe I'm expecting. So we'll see there. Moving on, AFC West lows. Yeah, I put the Raiders and the Chargers around the same range there for different reasons though. Raiders, a lot's riding on the quarterback play. Derek Carr's got to be more consistent, better throughout the whole season. It looks like they're improving everywhere else though, but There could be times where they rely on Josh Jacobs too much, and this is a passing league, but Derek Carr can air it out. He can. He's just got to be more consistent there. The Chargers, the reason it could be this low is mainly because of the offense. It's going to be, I don't know if it's that explosive of an offense. They have some weapons here and there, but Mike Williams hurt right now too as well. I really worry about the offensive line, and that makes me worry about the quarterback play. Defensively, it's going to be a great defense. Derwin James is going to miss a significant amount of time. That takes a hit, too, so that might have bumped it down a little bit, too. The Broncos are put at 7. Offensive line can be a concern. I don't think it'll be as bad as last year. Drew Lock, I like Drew Lock. You can't expect great every week, though. Maybe you can't expect great even once. I like him. I think he's good. I think he's going to be pretty darn good, but you can't expect, with the small sample size, you can't expect every single week. So there's going to be the weeks where he's struggling a little bit. Really good defense, so I like that defense. Got to stay healthy. But I think the bottom line around 7. And the Chiefs, pretty good bottom line there, around 11 wins. So I definitely think they get in that double digits. I think just too good of a team. I mean, we even seen them win with Matt Moore last year, but I don't expect Mahomes to be hurt. But, pretty complete team. I think the defense is the key there. It's getting better and better, so that drops, the low is, I shouldn't say drop, it's up at 11 there. So now we see the highs for the AFC West. Pretty darn high, I think. So a pretty big range for a lot of these teams. And the Raiders and the Chargers, I have the same range again. The Raiders could be up at 10. Because I think they're I've talked about this, I think they're a pretty complete team that improved. Improved. Main thing is, you really do need these crazy impact players, pretty much all over. You look at the Chiefs last year, all over your roster. I don't know if they really have that. They have, and there's a lot of impact players all over the NFL, but I mean like the game takeover type guys. They don't have too many of those, and they're still kind of getting going, but they could, again, complete, improved. There's just those weeks that both the offense and defense can be on the same page. It's very possible, so they can get up to 10 wins. Chargers, same thing. The defense can be really good, and that alone can get them a good chunk. I mean, not all 10, but a good chunk of those wins. And the offense could be sneaky. It could be that really quick small ball that it's harder for some teams to defend that than, the crazy passing attack, that Mahomes throws at you. So they could be a sneaky team there. Broncos, they put at 12. I like the Broncos team. I like this defense a lot. I like Drew Lock. Again, you can't expect greatness every single week. They have the weapons. Offensive line's a little bit of worry. I think they could be up at 12. I really think so. Just because it's a great defense, but you do feel kind of a completeness to this team. Chiefs up at 14. I could take the cheap route and put around 16. It's possible, but I'm going to just say, try to tighten these ranges up a little bit. I'm going to put them at 14 there for the max, and they could be around there for my actual final prediction there. NFC, I put the Cowboys at bottom line 8. I think the team's too talented. We've said that in the past, so it's a little scary, but they've always landed in this range, so I'm pretty confident here. I think they're more talented than ever. Better coaching upgrade. See how many games, one-score games, they really had a shot to win. Felt like they had better than just a shot to win, and I felt like they lost all those games. So just a play or two, just a decision or two could change everything. Too talented to go under 8. So I'm putting them at 8. The Eagles at 7. Injuries are a major concern right now. They were already a major concern. Last year I predicted the Eagles in the range where they finished because of that, and I was trusting they could stay healthy. New year, and they're already getting beat up. But I think too well coached, and they have those, even though they might have holes because of injuries, they have those top-tier impact players in the right spots where I just don't think they fall below 7. Washington, I put bottom line 4. I think the defense can win 4 games alone. Then you factor in the offense, but the offense may not be able to bump more up than that. It's a possibility. I'm not saying, the offense can't go out there and win a game by themselves. I'm not saying that, but I put them around 4. Defense should be great. The Giants are put down at 3. Actually, a tough schedule for the Giants. So that's kind of what's splitting up Washington and the Giants right now. I think the Giants got a tougher schedule. So Giants get bumped down a little bit. Is there anything special about this team? There's things I like. Saquon Barkley's special. Running game could be. Teams could game plan for that. Daniel Jones was more impressive than expected last year. Need to take care of the football. Mainly look at the defense. I think you can air it out on this defense. I believe so. So it could be another rough season for the Giants. Bottom line there. And then the highs, I put the Cowboys all the way up at 14 because of the talent. And you may say, no, there's no way. And, I'm not saying it's going to happen. But I think people would disagree only for the fact that it's their name is the Dallas Cowboys, kind of like the Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys have that much talent. They made the coaching change for the better. I think it's a pretty complete team. To me, it's almost in a way, I'm almost could be knocking, ripping the Cowboys here because they should be able to do this. If they don't, they're a major disappointment. So I'm not saying they have to get 14 or they're disappointment. Not really what I'm saying, but they're that talented. Eagles I put at 12. I couldn't put them higher than this, even though they have some impact talent. Just too many injuries. The Cowboys are more complete than the Eagles. So 12 for the Eagles, which is still good. Washington I put up at 9. Might surprise some people. Again, that defense, that front seven, that pass rush could win a good amount of games on their own. Look at the offense. Can the offense do it? People doubting the offense understand why. I think people doubt Haskins. I talked about this before. I think people doubt Haskins a little too much. People they just love going and running and look at the stats. You look at Haskins, small sample size last year, not the best stats. But if you watch the games, you don't even have to watch the games. If you watched the game log, maybe, if you go look at the game log stats, the first few games when he got thrown into a terrible situation, which doesn't work out for any quarterback for the first time, he struggled. And then he picked it up. When he got his groove going, when he got confidence, he picked it up a little bit. Nothing great, but he picked it up. Now he knows he's the guy. He's trying to get going. They got some other pieces that could step up. Antonio Gibson, Bryce Love, Terry McLaurin can keep on improving. He's got his quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, who was at Ohio State, his quarterback from Ohio State, the full time here. Washington could get going. They really could get going, but by putting 9 as the max, which is pretty good for them, but I don't have full trust in this offense. I think they just be a little better than people expect. Giants put at 8. Again, is there anything special about the team to take over the Washington team? They have that defense. The Giants have that, really, other than Saquon Barkley. I don't know if it's theirs. So, and a tough schedule. Like I said, not a ridiculously hard schedule, but for the Giants, you would think Giants, where they finished last year, it should be an easier schedule. So I put them at around 8 max, but it's also an offense I can see like being a pretty explosive offense. It's a long shot for it to be consistently. I don't mean they're definitely going to do it weeks here and there, but we'll see. Definitely an interesting team to watch. The North, the lows. I actually put the Vikings on the best side of the lows because I think we know what we're going to give them the Vikings. It seems like they're a pretty consistent team. I don't see them dropping under 8 wins. They're, for the most part, right on that complete, they're not really lacking big time anywhere, maybe other than the offensive line. So maybe that's why I'm kind of hesitant to call them completely complete, like teams like the Bills and the Titans, who I talk about, are complete. But yeah, they're there and they have those studs as well. I just think, 8 wins would be a disappointment for them because the talent says they're better than that. I just don't see them dropping below that. Packers, I think, have a bigger range there. You don't know really what to. In a great year last year, don't know what to expect when they didn't really improve the weapons for Rodgers. Rodgers felt like he could have played better last year. That kind of brings up, where's he at? Is he going to play that way again? Is he going to play better? Is he going to decline because of age? I'm not necessarily taking a side with that, but mainly LaFleur for the offense. I'm not a big fan of scripted offenses. And we see it all the time. These new coaches, they work out year one. Everybody makes a big deal about them, and then teams start to figure it out because they only got to play them one time, maybe some of them two, get more game film. That's what happens. So I'm not saying it's going to go downhill. I'm just not jumping into it yet. So, I think in the defense, I don't really have too much worries for the defense. They didn't really improve the weak spots, but I think they got a pretty big range. I think a lot is riding on the system. LaFleur there. The Lions, you can put them down at 4. They start good every year. Last year they went downhill because Stafford got hurt. The year before they went downhill, it felt like Stafford was playing hurt. So inconsistent team. Got to stay. They got health concerns too because Stafford. Kerryon Johnson, Marvin Jones, T.J. Hockenson was beat up last year. So that's there. So they can be down at even though I don't think there's any crazy dominant team in the NFC North, it's a tough division. I don't see them going 0-6, but it's possible. The Bears down at 6, pretty big range team as well because who's going to start at quarterback? I don't really trust Trubisky a whole bunch. See David Montgomery already hurt. Offensive line's a question. 2 years ago, it was almost great, and then last year was on the bad side, a little below average maybe. Defensively, I trust the defense. It's not as good as it was 2 years ago, but I trust the defense. Could be around what it was last year, which is good enough. Could be better, which is fantastic. I trust it, but it's an offensive league, and it could be kind of an offensive disaster again if it's somewhat similar how it goes last year. I think they're fortunate their offense. I think they were fortunate to get as many wins as they did based on how their offense played, and their defense kind of held them up a bit. But then you see kind of the highs here. I put the Packers on top of the highs because Aaron Rodgers, again, could play and he played good last year, but he can play. It wouldn't surprise me if he improved upon last year. So that would kind of boost them up. The floor system's clicking. We find out maybe there's some secret weapons in there we don't know about. The defense, a lot of new faces last year clicked right away. Click even further another year together. So I see them around there. So around 13 wins. The Vikings I put at 12. So a little smaller range for the Vikings compared to the Packers. I don't really see them getting over that point, and the offensive line kind of doesn't allow them to get over that point. They got some young guys that could step up, but the rest of the team is very talented for sure. Lions got a pretty big range all the way up at 10. I think a pretty complete team, about staying healthy, down the stretch for sure. And the Bears got a pretty big range as well, all the way up at 11. I think Foles is the right man for the job. I think he fits the system, and that gets the offense going. I think it'll be a fast, kind of quick offense, and that could throw some teams off, and their defense will handle their business. So I think around there, around 11 for the Bears for win range. Now we move on to the NFC South. Falcons down at 6. I've talked about this in the past. I think, in my opinion, the hardest schedule in football belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. So 6. When you see 6 next to the Falcons, with the talent they have, you might question it, but you got to factor in the schedule there and their division. Buccaneers down at 8. I think there's too much talent to fall below 8, but then because of that talent, why do you put them down at 8? Because a lot of first-year guys maybe won't click right away. I think they have the first-year guys to make it click right away, but it's a possibility. Tough division as well. Saints down at 10. Saints been known as being a dominant team during the season. Pretty complete team as well. They'll handle business. I think for them. I think it's a pretty good schedule. It's not that it's easy or anything, but I think it's just a good schedule for them. Bottom line's around 10. Panthers could be down at 4. Defense. There's a reason they drafted all defense. The defense could be on. It could give up a ton of points there. Offense. I like the offense. Offensive line I worry about a little bit, but the offense, could win some games on its own there. They might have to actually. And then you move on to the highs, which are pretty high for this division. Falcons put at 11. They have the talent. Don't want to put a little higher than that, though. Any higher than that because how tough that schedule is. Buccaneers put all the way up at 14. The talent's there, and I've talked about it in the past. People would just right away be like, they just because they got Tom Brady, but it's a lot more than Tom Brady. It's really a small part of it. I mean, it's a big addition. But we see the receiver talent. I think people would kind of dismiss their defense for some reason because we're just so used to the defense being lower end for so long, even though they were top tier run defense last year. But the front seven's ridiculous. They're going to get pressure. Secondary is a lot better than people think. It's a good young secondary, playmakers back there. Talent says around 14, really. But we can't expect everything to click every single week with a lot of new faces. Saints around 14. Consistent good team during the season, so I think I don't really need to explain that. They should get in that range of 10 to 14. Panthers at 9. That offense could be pretty explosive. It could be pretty explosive. Hopefully Teddy stays healthy. I expect him to. Big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I think, him with McCaffrey, I think Joe Brady's a key piece there, the new offense coordinator. I just don't know if they get over 9. It's kind of similar where the Browns are at. The offense could be sneaky good. I just don't know if they get in double digits because I don't think the offense can pick up the defenses because there's a lot of good offenses. So the offense has to keep up, and then the defense has to make those extra plays. So, and the defense could have the front defensive line can be pretty solid. So they could have their weeks where they're game changing, get the pressure, force that strip sack at the end of the game. That could be key. I just don't know if I see them getting over 9. In the last division, the lows might be interesting here, but it shouldn't really surprise many people. The Seahawks at 10. We know what to expect from the Seahawks. Having Russell Wilson, pretty much that's it. Having Russell Wilson, he has some good weapons, and they add Jamal Adams. I just don't see them getting under 10. I think that's pretty obvious. Cardinals 6, pretty easy schedule. Maybe you can't expect them to be consistent because they're still pretty young, still pretty fresh, still making some changes, so they'll have their hiccups. So they could be down at 6 there. The Rams down at 6. There's some holes in this roster. They got some top-tier talent here and there, but there are some holes in this roster. Offensive line is a major concern. Could be the worst in football, so down at 6. 49ers down at 8. This is where I might surprise people because how good they were last year. And I'm not predicting here. I'm not really saying, well, I kind of am predicting ranges, but I'm not predicting the finish here. But because of health, teams could figure out their offense as well. Some people are kind of worried about that. It's more of just health. You see a lot of guys beat up. They have a lot of players that we kind of know have the ability to miss some games, get hurt, get banged up. So that could drop them down. It really could. So I put them bottom line around 8. They are very talented, very complete teams. So I couldn't really – I think it's pretty good to have your bottom line 8 when you have major health concerns. And the highs, I put the Seahawks and the Niners around 13. So you see a pretty big range for the Niners because they're very talented, very complete, could have the top defense in football again. Seahawks I put at 13. They have it's a pretty obvious game plan that the Seahawks have offensively. It's a good one. It fits their talent, but some teams kind of figure it out, and it feels like the Seahawks kind of get conservative or stick to the game plan too much. And that's those weeks where they don't score that many points and they kind of lose, or it's a little shocking when they lose those games or who they're playing. But those will pop up again. It's not too concerning. Those will pop up again, and they are missing edge rush. So I don't really see them getting over 13, but 13 is a pretty good number there. Cardinals like their schedule. Hard to game plan against, pretty fast offense, so they could get up to 11. They still, even though matchups may look good for them, they'll still have those moments where it's kind of a hiccup, a little bit of a struggle because they're still going, they're still building that. And the Rams at 11, very well coached. They have top tier talent here and there, even though they have holes, even though they have some things I'm concerned about, even though they're a tough division, they can still get double-digit wins because they have those top tier talent that can take over that some teams are lacking. So I put them at 11 there. So pretty good division you could see there. I think the main thing we talked about is what could adjust the win ranges is health. I think a lot of unexpected, some first-year guys, quarterbacks mainly, could create different ranges or create a surprising outcome. So we'll see. You guys can play along in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed me. Much appreciated. Subscribe, turn notifications on. Can't wait for the NFL season's right around the corner. Hopefully you can join us for all that content we got planned. That's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.